Many souls wander through the night restless, not understanding why peace eludes them. They close their eyes hoping for rest, but instead their dreams become battlegrounds, their spirits weighed down by invisible chains. This is no coincidence. The night has always been the chosen hour of the adversary. In darkness, hidden hands weave arrows of sickness, poverty, and confusion, casting them into the homes of the unaware. But listen carefully, you are not defenseless. There exists an ancient mystery, a divine strategy, that turns the night from a place of torment into a sanctuary of protection. When you place 9 cloves into salt water before you sleep, you are not practicing superstition, you are sealing your night with fire, judgment, and victory. Understand this truth: life is spiritual first, and physical second. The wicked know this, which is why they labor tirelessly in unseen realms while others slumber. They count on your ignorance. They thrive on your unawareness. But once you awaken to the spiritual laws that govern existence, you realize you can fight back, not with fear, but with wisdom, with divine authority, with tools already placed in your hands. Salt and cloves, though ordinary in appearance, are sacred when understood. Together they form a firewall no dark spirit can cross, a spiritual sword that cuts every chain sent against you. The reason your enemies laugh today is not because they are powerful, but because you have not yet risen to use your weapons. You pray, yes, and you cry, yes, but unless you seal your night with spiritual covering, you remain exposed to hidden battles. Think of this: the lion does not tremble at the howling of jackals. Why? Because he knows his roar carries authority. Tonight, you will learn how to roar in spirit, how to rise like a warrior clothed in unseen armor, how to transform your bedroom into a sanctuary of light. Imagine it, lying down without fear of shadows, without the weight of invisible curses pressing on your chest, without waking to sudden dryness in your finances or chaos in your relationships. Imagine instead waking renewed, your spirit light, your path clear, your enemies choking on the very traps they set for you. This is the mystery of the 9 cloves in salt water. It is not just protection, it is reversal. It ensures that those who trouble your peace taste the bitterness of their own devices. Enemies hate it when you rise in wisdom. They despise it when you discover that small, overlooked things, a pinch of salt, a handful of cloves, can dismantle their elaborate rituals. They have always feared knowledge more than strength, because knowledge awakens authority. By the end of this teaching, you will never again go to bed unprotected. You will understand that a single act before sleep can decide the destiny of your night and the misery of those who plot against you. Tonight, the battlefield is set. And with 9 cloves in salt water, victory already leans to your side. Cloves are not merely kitchen spices, nor are they random fragments of nature. They are vessels of vibration, carriers of an energy so potent that witches dread their scent and demons recoil at their essence. For centuries, sages and healers have known the mystery of cloves. Their fragrance unsettles darkness, their fire-like nature pierces through invisible webs of witchcraft. When immersed in water, they do more than release aroma, they release a shield, a sound in the spirit, a declaration that says, "This house is sealed. You cannot touch this soul." The number 9, too, is no accident. Across traditions, 9 has always symbolized judgment, finality, and divine completion. In ancient Chinese cosmology, 9 is the celestial number of heaven. In sacred Hebrew thought, 9 signifies the fullness of truth and the end of a cycle. In numerology, 9 is the vibration of endings, transformation, and spiritual awakening. To place 9 cloves in salt water is to write a spiritual decree: this battle ends here, this curse is broken, this cycle of torment is finished. It is a divine full stop against the whispers of the adversary. Picture each clove as a warrior on night duty. One stands at your door, another by your window, another at the foot of your bed. One defends your health, one guards your finances, another protects your children, and yet another silences every tongue raised in gossip and slander. The 9th clove seals the circle, completing the army. Together, They form an unbreakable shield, a wall of light through which no arrow of darkness can pass. They are the sentinels of your spirit while you rest. Think of it this way: when an enemy launches a spiritual attack, those 9 cloves respond instantly. Their energy shoots back like flaming arrows, piercing the sleep of the wicked, disturbing their rituals, collapsing their altars. Those who plot in secret wake up in confusion, unable to understand why their spells backfired. Some begin to avoid you altogether, others find their own words and plans rebounding against them. It is not coincidence, it is the back-to-sender effect. This is not superstition but spiritual law. Whatever vibration you project into the universe must return to its source. Cloves and salt water amplify this law, ensuring that what was meant for your harm becomes the fire that consumes the sender. Do not underestimate these simple elements. Enemies count on you dismissing them as trivial. But remember, the divine often hides great mysteries in small vessels. Just as a seed contains the power of a forest, so does a clove carry the power to scatter darkness. When joined with salt, the eternal preserver, the purifier, the covenant element, they become unstoppable. Together, they dismantle contracts, shatter chains, and silence monitoring spirits that hover in the night. Your enemies may know this secret, but they never expect you to rise and wield it. That is why their downfall begins the moment you awaken to this mystery. There is a hardness to the clove that matters: its shape, its firmness, the way it pierces into flesh when you press it. This is language the spirit understands: piercing for piercing, wound for wound, arrow for arrow. Cloves are not soft comforts, they are spiritual nails hammered into the plans of the wicked. Each clove punctures an altar, penetrates a curse, and splinters the cords that bind your destiny. When 9 of them stand together in salt water, they form 9 piercings, 9 spiritual wounds that chase the enemy until they abandon the pursuit. Salt is the covenant word made physical. It preserves, it exposes, it consumes rot. When salt meets water, the mixture becomes a living witness that remembers truth and rejects falsehood. Witchcraft thrives in secrecy and agreement. It depends on covenants, spoken oaths, hidden signatures, and blood pacts. Salt interrupts these pacts. It tastes the contract and turns its ink to dust. Those who thought they bound you with words and rites suddenly find their own bonds tightening around their necks. The very ropes they used to tie your life become the noose that strangles their plans. This is the unsettling justice of spiritual chemistry. Now consider the atmosphere in your home: unseen watchers, subtle sounds, dreams that are not yours. Monitoring spirits are like spies stationed at the border of your mind, feeding the enemy with images and fear. The salt and clove mixture acts as counterintelligence. It confuses their signals, scrambles their frequency, and leaves them chasing echoes. They cannot hold a line when a sanctified barrier stands between them and their target. While you sleep, these elements do reconnaissance, reveal names in the spirit, and place markers that the angels obey. Those markers create a weight upon the enemy's conscience. Their actions that once sailed smooth now meet friction and collapse. There is also a persistence to clove scent that matters spiritually. Have you noticed how a single clove lingers in the air long after the pot is removed from the stove? That lingering fragrance is a watermark in the atmosphere. It refuses to be displaced. Spiritually, the clove's persistence becomes a guard that outlasts a single night. When the cloves sit in salt water, their essence saturates the atmosphere of your room. It does not simply block an attack, it saturates your space with a force field that accumulates power as you rest. This persistent aroma becomes a testimony that continues to work even after the bowl is emptied. But intention is the engine that activates these elements. Without a heart aligned and a voice declaring truth, they remain raw materials. Spiritual law requires direction. That is why the act of speaking, of declaring each clove's purpose, is not theatrics, it is the ignition. When you name the protection, when you command the return of every arrow to sender, you are issuing an order the spirit realm must honor. Your words bind the elements to divine will, and the angels execute accordingly. This is not a passive ritual, it is engaged warfare, a waking of heaven to enforce your boundaries. So prepare your heart before you prepare the bowl. Decide within that tonight marks a boundary, no more silent suffering, no more secret tapping of dark forces on your life. Gather the cloves, take the salt, and know that as you act, you join a long line of seekers who turned ordinary things into sacred instruments. The enemy will not like it. They will feel heat, then shame, then confusion. You, however, will feel rest, deep, sovereign rest, the kind that comes when a warrior lays down because the sentinels are on duty. Before you begin this sacred work, understand that intention is everything. The clove and salt are not magical in themselves, they are keys, waiting for the right hand to turn them. You must first prepare your inner temple. Breathe deeply and declare in your heart that tonight will mark the end of hidden battles. In Eastern practice, breath is Chi, the life force that stirs energy. In sacred scripture, breath is spirit, the animating word of creation. When you breathe with awareness before this ritual, you are aligning your inner current with the divine current. You are saying, my intention is pure, my heart is firm, my victory is sealed. Now take a clean glass bowl or cup. Not a vessel you treat carelessly, but one you set apart for this purpose. In sacred traditions, consecration always begins with separation. By choosing a vessel and honoring it, you are creating sacred space. Fill it halfway with fresh, clean water. Let it be water drawn this evening if possible, for freshness carries life, movement, and purity. As it settles, see in your mind's eye not just water, but liquid light, ready to absorb purity and dissolve corruption. Remember, water has memory, it responds to intention, vibration, and spoken command. Hold 9 cloves in your hand. Feel their sharpness, their fragrance, their hidden power. One by one, drop them into the water. With each drop, declare aloud, this clove is a weapon. This clove is judgment. This clove is fire returned to sender. Do not rush. With each clove, envision a chain breaking, a curse dissolving, a dark altar collapsing. Allow your spirit to see what your eyes cannot, enemies stumbling as their arrows rebound, shadows fleeing as light invades. Next, add salt. A handful is enough, but ensure it dissolves fully. As the grains fall, speak with faith, salt of covenant, salt of protection, salt of warfare, work for me tonight. Watch as the salt disappears into the water, for this is the sign of dissolution, the same way your enemy's power dissolves into nothingness. Just as salt seasons food and prevents decay, so too does this salt preserve your destiny and consume what is rotten. Once the mixture is ready, stir it gently with your right hand. Not carelessly, but with conviction. As you stir, declare, every curse sent against me, return to sender. Every arrow of sickness, return to sender. Every whisper of poverty, return to sender. Feel the energy shift in the atmosphere, as if the very air begins to vibrate with your words. This is no longer ordinary water. This is a charged shield, an activated force waiting to guard your night. Place the bowl beside your bed where you can see it. The closer it rests, the more it radiates. Some place it beneath the bed, others at the window or door, but proximity matters little, the energy flows where intention has directed it. As you lie down, smile with confidence. Your soldiers are awake. The watchers who plotted against you are already trembling. Tonight, as you rest, their schemes collapse. As you dream in peace, their sleep becomes torment. And as you rise renewed, they will rise in misery, regretting the traps they set for you. As you prepare to close your eyes, let a final declaration rise from within you. Whisper into the night, as I rest, let my enemies be restless. As I dream in peace, let their dreams be filled with torment. As I wake in joy, let them wake in misery. These words are not idle phrases. They are spiritual commands that ripple through unseen realms, aligning forces of light to ensure your protection. In many wisdom traditions, sound is power. From the Vedic mantras of the East to the Psalms of the West, the spoken word has always been a weapon that shapes reality. Your declaration seals the ritual and summons judgment upon every shadow. Now, sleep with courage. No fear of sudden nightmares, no dread of unseen figures standing at your door. Your chamber is not just a room tonight, it is a fortress. Your bed is not merely for rest, it is an altar where victory is decided. The salt and cloves stand guard like ancient warriors, their fragrance filling the air with invisible fire. Angels move on assignment, aligning with your intention, enforcing every word you spoke. You are not alone. You are covered, and the night is yours. By morning, the ritual reaches its fulfillment. When you rise, take the bowl of water outside your home or pour it into the sink. As the water leaves your space, declare boldly, return to sender, and let it never return again. Watch the water flow away and know that with it flows the curses, the projections, the arrows of witchcraft, and the eyes of envy. What was meant for you is gone, carried back to its source, multiplied in weight. The burden has been lifted from your shoulders and placed where it belongs, on the heads of those who dared to send it. Do not be surprised when, in the days that follow, those who secretly plotted against you begin to falter. Some will avoid you, unable to meet your gaze. Others will complain of sleepless nights, strange sicknesses, or sudden losses. Contracts will vanish from their hands. Doors of opportunity they once tried to shut against you will shut against them instead. This is the natural justice of spiritual law. What was projected outward has boomeranged, and the enemies of your peace are now entangled in their own nets. Meanwhile, your path will open. Where once there was dryness, abundance will flow. Where sickness loomed, health will spring forth. Where fear once lived, peace will reign. This is the back-to-sender principle in action, not by violence of your own, but by divine justice working through natural elements. You will know that the cloves and salt water did not just shield you, they vindicated you, turning your night into a courtroom where judgment was pronounced and executed. In the days that follow, you may notice subtle shifts around you. People who once walked with boldness against you suddenly appear subdued. Those who gossiped about your name now find their own words entangling them, dragging their reputations into the mud. The arrows they released against your spirit return like boomerangs, striking their own lives with the sting of judgment. This is the law of sowing and reaping magnified through the salt and clove covenant. They planted bitterness, and now they must drink the cup of bitterness themselves. There is deep satisfaction in this reversal, not from cruelty, but from justice. The universe is governed by balance. Eastern philosophy calls it karma, the sacred cycle of cause and effect. In scripture it is written, whatever a man sows, that shall he also reap. In vibration science, it is understood as resonance, energy attracts its equal. The clove and salt ritual accelerates this law. It ensures that negative energy hurled toward you cannot remain in your field but must return with multiplied force to its source. In this way, you are not only protected, you are vindicated. Consider the gossipers, those who use their tongues like knives to wound your reputation. They now wake to find their own words turning into poison. Their networks of influence collapse, their credibility shatters, their alliances dissolve. The same mouths that mocked you now taste the bitterness of shame. This is not chance, it is spiritual law in motion. And as they sink into confusion, your name rises with honor, your path is illuminated with peace. Even the shadows that once tormented your nights, the strange dreams, the whispers, the heavy presence at your door, will vanish. Not only will they cease, but they will reverse. The same monitoring spirits that once tracked your footsteps now return to trouble the camps of your enemies. The shadows they commanded now become their tormentors, chasing them in dreams, haunting them until they abandon your case completely. What was once your burden becomes their torment. This is divine justice unveiled. And do not overlook the transformation within yourself. When fear no longer rules your nights, your days begin to blossom. Confidence rises, creativity flows, opportunities align. You awaken each morning not only refreshed, but empowered, carrying the quiet knowing that your space is sealed, your destiny guarded. You are no longer prey but predator, no longer the hunted but the lion who sleeps unbothered while jackals scatter. The ritual is more than protection, it is a reminder that you are chosen, covered, and unstoppable. Enemies expect you to remain ignorant, trembling at shadows. They never expect you to rise in knowledge, wielding small things as mighty weapons. But once you do, their grip is broken forever. That is why this practice is more than a ritual, it is an awakening. It teaches you that darkness was never stronger than light, that the enemy's power was never greater than your authority. They thrived only in your unawareness. But now you are awake, and their reign is ended. Some will tell you this practice is superstition, a relic of the past. But look deeper, and you will see it is rooted in timeless wisdom. Across cultures, the small things have always carried the greatest spiritual weight. The ancients of Africa, Asia, and the Middle East all knew the hidden strength of salt and spice. They understood that creation itself was encoded with symbols of protection and power, waiting for the awakened to use them. The clove, sharp and fragrant, was never just for flavor, it was a weapon hidden in plain sight. Salt, pure and incorruptible, was always more than seasoning, it was covenant and preservation. Your enemies know this. That is why, in secret, they too use candles, powders, herbs, and sacrifices to fuel their altars. They mock you openly, but in the dead of night, they bow to the very mysteries they pretend to dismiss. The difference is intention. Where they twist natural elements for harm, you activate them for light. Where they bind, you release. Where they curse, you reverse. Do not be deceived, the same forces they manipulate for evil are the ones the Creator designed to be your shield. Think also of the persistence of clove. One tiny bud, placed in boiling water, perfumes the entire room for hours. This is not coincidence, it is a sign of lingering power. Spiritually, the clove's fragrance is the vibration of endurance, it stays, it guards, it outlasts the night. And salt, dissolving silently into water, shows you how victory works, unseen, unstoppable, transforming the whole without fanfare. Together, salt and clove form an alliance of persistence and purity, strength and silence. In energy science, this is resonance. When your heart intention aligns with these elements, their vibration harmonizes with yours, creating a field no darkness can penetrate. Imagine your room as a sphere of light, invisible to the eye but undeniable in spirit. As you sleep, this field expands, covering not only your bed but your entire dwelling. The enemy may approach, but they cannot cross the boundary. Their arrows ricochet, their words scatter, their plans collapse under the weight of divine resistance. This is why fear has no place once you understand the mystery. Fear is the enemy's final weapon, it paralyzes you, convinces you that you are weak, that you are prey. But with knowledge comes courage. With practice comes authority. And with authority comes rest. The clove and salt ritual is not just about fighting back, it is about reclaiming your right to peace, to joy, to nights without torment. It is about remembering that you are not a victim of shadows, you are a warrior of light. When you rise in the morning after this practice, take note of how your body feels, how your mind awakens. The heaviness that once pressed on your chest will have lifted. The fog of confusion that lingered in your thoughts will clear. You will feel lighter, as though a burden has been peeled off your soul. This is no illusion, it is the residue of darkness expelled from your space. The 9 cloves and salt water fought for you while you slept, creating a courtroom in the night where judgment was delivered against your enemies. And what of them? Do not be surprised when their countenances change. Some will grow distant, avoiding your presence. Others will attempt apologies, their words hesitant, their eyes restless. Many will not even understand why they feel tormented, only that something shifted in their lives. Strange sickness may appear, finances may dry, or peace may vanish from their homes. These are the boomerangs of the arrows they sent against you. They taste their own poison, and their hearts grow weary. This is the back-to-sender effect at work. In ancient Buddhist teachings, it is said that hatred is like holding a burning coal with the intent of throwing it, yet you are the one who is burned first. In universal law, whatever energy you project must return multiplied. The ritual of salt and cloves amplifies this truth, ensuring the fire does not touch you but instead circles back to its origin. Those who sought to bury you with their words now feel buried beneath their own lies. Those who sent poverty into your path now find doors of abundance sealed against themselves. Notice too how opportunities begin to unfold for you. Contracts that once delayed are released, relationships once strained begin to heal, financial doors open with surprising ease. This is not coincidence but resonance. As the negative frequencies leave your field, your vibration rises, aligning with abundance, peace, and health. What you could not manifest before suddenly flows toward you because there is no longer interference in your atmosphere. You are a magnet for blessing, not a target for curses. Most profound of all is the inner awakening that begins to bloom. You realize that protection was never about begging for safety, it was about awakening to your authority. You see that the enemy's so-called power was built on your ignorance, not on their strength. With knowledge, you are no longer prey, you are the lion, resting unbothered while jackals scatter in fear. This awakening is more powerful than any single ritual, for it changes how you see yourself forever. So each morning, as you pour away the salt water and speak your declaration, let it also be a reminder, the night has no dominion over you, the curses have no chain strong enough to bind you, and the enemies who rejoiced yesterday will wake today in confusion. Their season of laughter is over. Your season of rising has begun. This ritual, though simple, carries layers of hidden meaning that echo through the wisdom of the ages. Salt has always been the element of covenant, incorruptible, eternal, unchanging. In sacred traditions, offerings were sealed with salt as a sign of permanence. In energy science, salt absorbs and neutralizes negativity, stripping environments of heavy residue. When dissolved in water, it becomes liquid light, flowing into every corner of your space, dissolving unseen cords, exposing hidden enemies, and burning away every false covenant tied to your destiny. Cloves, on the other hand, embody fire and persistence. Their sharpness is not accidental, they are spiritual daggers, piercing through the fabric of curses. Their fragrance is their shield, it lingers, it saturates, it drives away forces that cannot tolerate its vibration. Together, salt and clove form a perfect polarity, one dissolves, the other pierces. One preserves, the other disrupts. One cleanses, the other burns. And united, they create balance, a sacred harmony that dismantles every unclean force set against you. But remember this, no ritual has power without intention. You are the activator. Your words, your faith, your alignment with truth transform ordinary elements into extraordinary weapons. As you stir the mixture and speak, your voice echoes in realms unseen. Angels hear, shadows tremble, contracts unravel. It is not superstition, it is divine partnership. You are not just placing spices in water, you are declaring law, raising an altar of light in your home, and commanding the night to obey. The enemy knows this, which is why they thrive in secrecy. They rely on your silence, your ignorance, your disbelief. But once you rise in awareness, once you act with conviction, their schemes collapse. This is why, after such rituals, enemies often confess without prompting. They feel exposed because salt reveals, and clove pierces. Their hidden intentions surface like ink bleeding through paper, and they can no longer hide behind masks. Your role, then, is not only to protect yourself but to awaken to your authority. Too many have lived years as victims, believing safety is reserved for a chosen few. But the truth is, you already carry the tools in your hands. With knowledge, you activate them. With faith, you sustain them. With practice, you embody them. And once awakened, you realize the night is no longer a battlefield you fear, but a courtroom where your victory is sealed nightly. So do not take this lightly. Each act is a declaration that you refuse to be prey. Each clove dropped is a hammer of judgment. Each grain of salt dissolving is an altar collapsing. And each word spoken is a roar that shakes the gates of darkness. With this awakening, your enemies do not only lose power, they lose the very ground they stand on. Tonight is not just another night. It is a turning point, a line drawn in spirit, a declaration that you will never again lay your head on the pillow unguarded. With 9 cloves in salt water, you are no longer a passive sleeper, you are a warrior who rests while your army fights. You are a soul aligned with divine justice, protected by natural elements that heaven itself encoded with power. As you place the bowl by your bed, remember, this is not a passive charm. This is spiritual warfare. Speak boldly, for your words are not empty, they are commands. Say, every curse, back to sender. Every arrow, back to sender. Every projection of poverty, sickness, or confusion, back to sender. Your voice is the ignition. It awakens the elements, stirs the atmosphere, and sets angels on assignment. From that moment onward, your enemies are trapped by the very snares they laid, bound by the cords they tied, and haunted by the shadows they once sent to you. Do not doubt the ripple this creates. Tomorrow, when you pour the water out, you are not discarding liquid, you are releasing judgment. As it leaves your home, it carries curses, shadows, and witchcraft away with it. And as it flows into the earth or down the drain, it carries those same forces back to their origin. Those who mocked your faith will wonder why their own lives suddenly collapse. They will taste the bitterness of their own arrows, and you will taste peace. This is the justice of the universe, the balance that no darkness can override. You are not cursing them, you are allowing the law of return to operate. The same law they relied upon for harm now operates for your vindication. And as they descend into confusion, you rise into clarity. As they groan in torment, you breathe in joy. As they stumble in loss, you walk in abundance. So share this mystery. Do not keep it hidden. Someone you love is suffering silently, tormented by unseen battles. Give them this key, and you give them peace. Spread the light, and you weaken the altars of darkness everywhere. Build a community of awakened warriors, and no enemy can stand against the united vibration of truth. Never forget, you are chosen, you are covered, and you are untouchable. With 9 cloves and salt water, you declare your home off limits to shadows and your destiny untouchable by curses. From this night forward, your life is sealed in victory, your spirit rests in peace, and your enemies awaken in misery. The battle is no longer yours, it is already won.